which team should call the former Niners quarterback?
Well, first of all, I think several teams should call him, but I think primarily the Pittsburgh Steelers, because all you have is Mason Rudolph, and I don't know who else you have right now. You can make the argument the Jets after last night, but I'll leave that to y'all. I would say the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I am being told that he has contacted Colin Kaepernick's agent, and others have contacted the Pittsburgh Steelers. Essentially, they're not interested. They've contacted the Jets. No word on them yet. They've contacted the Saints. They didn't get their phone calls returned. One of the things that Nessa Diab, Colin Kaepernick's lovely lady, told me last week when she and I met, she said Colin Kaepernick trains 5 days a week, every day, all 5 days at 5 a.m. At 5 a.m., working out a minimum of 3 hours a day, if not longer. He's ready to go. He wants to be back in the NFL, and it doesn't have to be as a starting quarterback. It could be as a backup quarterback. My response is that clearly he's being blackballed. He violated no laws. He violated no NFL bylaws, and that to me is the key. If you had rules in place, if the NFL had mandated that you stand for the national anthem, and he took that position, as much as we all support him as black folks in this country, you can understand the NFL if they had that position. But you didn't even mandate it. You strongly encouraged it, but the NBA and MLB mandated it. You, the NFL, did not. So he didn't violate any bylaws. And it gets to a point in time when you look at Cam Newton and his questionable arm, when you look at the Jets and their injuries, when you look at the Saints and Drew Brees out for several weeks, when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers with Big Ben Roethlisberger being out for the years, and you have a guy that some people, even Pete Carroll was on the record stating, he's a starter in this league, not a backup. But this guy is clearly willing to be a backup. Now it gets to a point where you have to revisit it. You settled the matter with him, okay? The issue, again, in the public's mind, we know what happened, and now we've all moved on from that. It appears that Colin Kaepernick accomplished his goal in terms of bringing attention to these issues, so he's ready to move on and play some football. For him not to be given the opportunity, and I'm told by several, he will not get an opportunity at all. I hope that's not true. I hope that eventually they'll lift that black ball tag from him, but it appears that that is clearly the case because with the bevy of injuries that have taken place, there is simply no excuse why he has not gotten a call.
I want to start. I'm going to pick up where you left off about him not getting a call. Okay, collusion, whatever. It is clearly not a football issue why he's not playing, and it's supposed to be meritocratic. The best football players play. He hasn't broken any laws. He hasn't broken any rules, and yet he's being, as you said, blackballed by the league when he'd like to be whiteballed by the league, which I suppose means you get to play. Look, Colin Kaepernick is in his physical prime. He has taken a team to the Super Bowl. He has been called by some respected people, a guy who could potentially be the best ever at one point in his career. He's experienced. He is now in a league more than ever before where, like, play-action, dual-threat quarterbacks are succeeding. And he doesn't have a job in a quarterback-starved league where there are injuries. We've never seen injuries like this behind, under center by week 2. Quarterbacks are going down. Backup quarterbacks are going down. He'd work in Pittsburgh, although I think Mason Rudolph, I think it was a third-round pick. Was, he showed some promise. By the way, Luke Falk looked decent to me. But the Jets need a quarterback. And who do they have on that team right now on offense?
Le'Veon Bell.
How would that work out, Martin?
It would be a beautiful thing with an RPO situation. Listen, the thing that I've always tremendously respected about both of you guys was the ability to separate football from the issue. I think shows do a disservice when they try to intertwine both of them, right? Because you have other people on one hand saying, well, Colin Kaepernick wasn't that good of a quarterback. That's the reason why. Let me remind you who's playing quarterback in the NFL right now. Don't ever say Colin Kaepernick was not good enough or he was declining when Blake Bortles had an $80 million contract. So let's just get rid of that sentiment that people were saying the reason why he's not in the league or he doesn't have a job is because he was declining as a player. That's number one. Number two is this. Colin Kaepernick would help teams be more efficient in what the new NFL is. He was sort of the first version of Lamar Jackson and what they're
Riley
doing.
do with this?
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
And what Dak Prescott is doing now in their offenses. And what everybody is raving about is what Harbaugh did with Colin Kaepernick in San Francisco. Yes, they had great defense. Yes, they had really good players. Colin Kaepernick made that go. So regardless of all of that,
If they tried to change him as a player, by the way, that's when the regression started.
That's when the regression started. So, and now, Max, coincidentally, that's what they're embracing now. Like we have quarterbacks that come out like Lamar, who they say it should have been a running back or a wide receiver. Now Baltimore has built an offense around him, and now he's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
The difference is they don't kneel for the anthem. Colin Kaepernick chose to exercise his First Amendment rights to not parrot the owner of the team's political beliefs. Because again, if kneeling is making a political statement that people don't like, then standing is making a political statement that they do like. And Colin Kaepernick does not have to make the same statements that the owner of the team makes, and he didn't. And that wasn't not only not against the law, it's not against the bylaws, as you pointed out, of the NFL. That's one issue. The other issue is he wants to play quarterback in the NFL. Those issues constantly get conflated. They're two separate issues. I understand what you guys mean about the optics and how that may rub players the wrong way, some players, but in fact, he's being consistent. This is how I feel and how I'm going to exercise my First Amendment rights.
No doubt.
And this is my desire to ply my trade, and I qualify based on the merits in the highest league there is.
I know we got to go, so I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut it off by saying this. The one thing that, first of all, we all support him. We know he's being blackballed. We know he deserves to be in the NBA, in the NFL, I'm sorry. Steelers, Jets, Saints, anybody, they should call him. That's number one.
Yeah.
Number two, and more importantly, last point, I was told that his agent is not necessarily getting some return phone calls, and this was not by her. It was by somebody else, that his agent is not getting those return phone calls. I'm not trying to cast any aspersions on the agent, not knocking him. He's ride and died with Colin Kaepernick. God bless him. But if your agent is not getting a return phone call, Colin Kaepernick needs to look at that, because there are agents. The last thing you have to worry about is them getting their phone calls returned. That's a problem. Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.